Real quick edit here, guys. I posted a comment yesterday regarding this video asking people about the mods for your games, and some people need a refresher on what a mod is compared to an accessory. So let's go over that real quick because it's important for this video. On my Deadpool, I have art blades. These are the stern art blades. So that's considered an accessory because the manufacturer created it. I have a different shooter rod, but Stern didn't make this. That's a mod. I have art blades on my Jurassic Park, but these are the pin graphics, illuminated graphics. That's not made by Stern. That's a mod. So that's the difference between these two main things. If you want to talk about a topper being included, if the manufacturer created it, it's an accessory. If a different company created it, it's a mod. That's the difference between the two, so just keep that in mind for this video, guys.
So you've bought a machine. Now you're going to throw money into it by mods. So you buy this mod, that mod, this mod, you powder coat everything, you buy new rubbers, LEDs. Now comes the time to sell it. Chances are you're not going to be getting your money back on those mods. But I've got 5 mods in this video that are guaranteed to increase the value of your game. Oh, we are about to piss some people off, I'll tell you that right now, because everyone thinks that whatever they spend money on and put into their game, they should automatically be able to get that money back. Sadly, that's not the case. So, I have rules. I have 4 rules, and these are the rules that I'm going by, and the reasons why I chose the particular mods that I will be listing in this video. Rule number 1. The mod has to be damn close to universal, meaning not just for one game. For example, Pin Vision, done by 86 Pixels for like Twilight Zone. Yes, great mod, and whenever you buy Twilight Zone, you should be able to charge more with that mod in it. But that's the thing, is that mod is only for that game. So that's not going to be in this list. Rule number 2 is that the price that you spend on this particular mod, you should at least break even when selling your game with the mod installed. Meaning people are not going to give you much grief for charging a little bit more for your game because of the particular mod that is installed. Rule number 3 is that the majority of pinball enthusiasts would agree that these particular mods do add value. Meaning if you line 10 pinball enthusiasts up and you ask them, 5 or more would agree. And rule number 4, the less room for subjectivity, the better. Meaning, just because you installed all new Comet LEDs or whatever throughout the game, it's not guaranteed to increase the value of your game because of this particular sentence that usually gets added on when mentioning these mods. Yes, you can say, oh, I've got all new Titan rubbers installed throughout, or I've got all new LEDs, or I've got powder coating, stuff like that. And it's like, yes, technically, these can be honorable mentions and add value, but the main point is that they have to be done tastefully. And that's the big subjectivity, is that what is tasteful? That's to each their own. So the main rule on number 4 is that it needs to be at least customizable for the potential buyer to where they can basically make it their own. Just because you install all purple lights throughout your GI and it looks good to you, I guarantee you that a majority of pinball enthusiasts are not going to like the look of that. So with those 4 rules in place, let's get started. Number 5 is mirror blades. Now, this is where a bit of subjectivity comes into place because, trust me guys, on my Patreon page, a lot of discussion was going back and forth on this, that people like art blades better, but the thing is, there's different types of art blades for each game, which leaves room for subjectivity because each individual may not like that particular art style, but mirror blades are pretty universal and more acceptable to the masses because everyone knows what a mirror does and there's no subjectivity there. So I will agree that yes, art blades do help, but it's not a guarantee that the particular art blades that people put in these games are going to be accepted. I mean, there are a lot of other third parties out there that create art blades that don't look good. I mean, again, subjectivity here, but like retro refurbs, I've seen some stuff where I'm like, I wouldn't want that on my game. Number 4, pin sound. Now, it goes across a number of machines, granted, not your newer Sterns or anything like that, but pin sound products in general are definitely an upgrade to your machine. But particularly, pin sound is a great addition to the movie pins. And like, for instance, I've got one in my Last Action Hero. You could put them in your other Data East games like Star Wars. And I just got finished doing the Batman, stuff like that. Increasing the audio package with the pin sound card is definitely appreciated by potential buyers. What is it? Yes. No, I'm not letting you lick me. I've seen where you've been licking me. Number 3 is speaker light kits. Now, this can be done through a number of places. I'm just going to name 2 off the top of my head, and that's Myth Pinball and Pinwoofer. The pricing for these are acceptable, and I feel that definitely it's customizable for any potential buyer out there that does give it a nice visual appeal. Number 2 is shaker motor. Now, this is obviously able to be easily installed on your newer Sterns and some of your other modern machines, and for those games out there that did not initially come with a shaker motor, let's say for instance the Getaway, you technically can install a shaker motor on these with one of the previous mods that I mentioned earlier, Pin Sound. So technically, all of your older games back here, even Tales of the Arabian Nights, if you so wished. Oh, wished, I didn't even think about that one. But like, you could put a shaker motor on that. Shaker motors are relatively inexpensive, and they added a nice tactile experience to your pinball machine. And I think majority of people like them, opposed to the minority that could do without. And the number 1 mod on this list that is guaranteed to add value to your machine, Color DMD. This, I don't think I will get any flack from pinball enthusiasts out there for having Color DMD on this list. If there's anybody out there, anyone, that actually looks at Color DMD and goes, yeah, not that good of a mod, something is wrong with you. You're definitely in the minority, because it is widely accepted that if you put a Color DMD on your DMD era games, you basically added an extra $500 to the price tag of that particular machine. The perks you get from it is that you're no longer using high voltage, the obviousness of the screen being brighter, more visually appealing, and depending on if you use LCD or LED, doesn't matter, it's definitely going to look better than your regular orange dot matrix display. So I'm going to give you a couple of honorable mentions here, guys, that we were discussing on Patreon, and like one of those was NVRAM. It's cheap, and I think it's definitely well appreciated if it's installed on your older games back here. If you have that on your listing, that you have NVRAM installed, that basically lets the potential buyer know that I shouldn't have to worry about it, but like battery damage on the boards or anything like that. It's relatively cheap, like I specified, so I wanted to have that at least as an honorable mention. Now, what also gets brought up here is Pinwoofer when it comes to upgrading your speakers on a game. Now, granted, this could potentially increase your value, but there's that room for, if tastefully done, to an extent, because not everyone cares about like a deeper sub or those particular speakers that just have a better sound to them, because a lot of the times for a lot of people, the factory speakers on these machines are fine, and you're not going to really notice a difference. But there definitely is those people out there that like to have much better sound and just to have a machine blaring in your face while you're playing. I hear nothing but good things about it, so I will at least give that an honorable mention that Pinwoofer is available to put on your game. I just can't guarantee that a potential buyer is willing to pay the extra $300 plus because you updated the audio. Another honorable mention is Invisiglass. So I'll put that on there, but I just feel that for me, if I was buying a machine and they wanted to charge me an extra, I don't know, was it $300 or something like that for Invisiglass because it's on there, I would request that they just keep it. I mean, how about you knock off $300? You can keep the glass. I don't need it. Because Invisiglass, to an extent, is subjectively useful. Because it depends on what environment you play in. If you're in a well-lit, lights above your games and everything area, then Invisiglass could potentially be very useful for you. Whereas for me, I play in a dark environment, plus I have Penn Stadiums on all my games. Doesn't do me any good. So again, I guess I could bring up the fact that subjectivity, Penn Stadiums is another add-on that people put on their games and they think that automatically increases the value of it. But there's plenty of feedback from the public that I have seen, whether it be on Pinside or Facebook, that do not care for the product. So chances are you'd have a good amount of people that would request you remove the Penn Stadiums just so they could save the extra $500. So there are a few honorable mentions. By all means, I'm looking forward to getting feedback from all of you out there on other mods you feel should be included. So I'm not saying that these are the top 5 mods, but merely 5 mods that will add value to your game. If I get enough information back from the public on which ones are actually I feel legitimately would add value, then I'll make another video in the future. Just keep those 4 rules in mind, guys. I mean, all of this technically is subjective, but the less subjectivity, the better. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments section down below, and until next time, guys, peace!